Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30. We'll call the December 20th meeting of the Mill Creek Township Board of Supervisors to order. Would you please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Supervisor Clear will be joining us via phone this evening. Is there any public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications? Hearing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the November 29th regular meeting. Any comments or questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear? Mrs. Clear, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to approval of the bills. Any comments or questions from the board on the bills?
No. I'll make a motion to approve paying the bills, Dan.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
No.
And I vote yes. Okay. Item 6 is a public hearing on land development plans. The first one this evening is the Erie International Airport realignment and rehabilitation of Taxiway A. Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, thank you. This is a land development plan to show the realignment, pavement rehabilitation, and expansion of the existing terminal apron for Taxiway A for the Erie International Airport along the south line of West 12th Street, east of Asbury Road, in the Erie Municipal Airport Tract. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, December 6th, 2022, the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this land development plan.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and open up the hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on behalf of the airport? Can you state your name and address for the record, sir?
Derek Martin, 4411 Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm the executive director of the Erie Airport. We came to the Planning Commission meeting on, as Mr. Matt Waldinger has stated, we provided information to the committee, and they recommended this project. A little history on this project. This project was originally thought out in 2017, 2018. The FAA requested us to get bids for that project. We got competitive bids. However, we were unsuccessful in getting what's called discretionary funding from the federal government to help with that project. Since then, we put this project out to bid again in April of this year. The board approved this project in April of this year, and we've gotten so far $5.965593 million. We got notification from the FAA to submit another application of $2.714 million by December 10th, which we did. We'll hopefully get approval of that once the omnibus budget is passed by Congress this week. And we have gone through the DEP completeness notification letter that we received for the stormwater discharge. This is a safety issue within the fence of the airport to bring the airport in compliance with the current FAA standards. Is there any questions from supervisors?
That's a taxiway, correct?
That's a taxiway, that's correct.
All right.
No questions?
No further questions here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Anyone else here wishing to speak on the airport realignment plan? Sir, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Brad Paganoff. I'm a resident at 223 Stonegate Drive, Erie, PA, 16505. I was actually a board member of the airport at the time. The award was announced December 17th in the news, and it was not voted on until June 1st on a special meeting. solicitations for bids went out before authorization on that. I'm not here to supplant your decision or anything like that. It was out of sequence. Now, bring this up to your attention because the airport's under FAA investigation right now for a number of things. And this might be one of those that would affect future, what they call grant assurances, because protocols and policies weren't followed. And in doing so, anything coming forward, given that, might not be awarded. But I'm also here sort of hat in hand, because I was a board member at the time when you were misled about the Wilkins property and the FAA approval for that. And I'd like to apologize on behalf of the board. We had no idea Derek Martin was coming here to speak on that, nor did he have FAA approval for that as well. Should there be any community built on that, that would void grant assurances, absolutely, for sure. We did submit a FOIA, our community member did submit a FOIA to possibly have that rezoned. I attended a subsequent meeting, a meeting before with the zoning folks here from the state that were down here doing the billboards. At that time, it was zoned for light industrial. So having said that, again, hat in hand, on behalf of the board members at the time, we do apologize for that. We didn't have any idea that that wasn't being represented. So with that, I wish everybody a happy holiday. I do thank you for your service to the community. Myself, I've served 20 years at the state legislature, governor levels, and et cetera. So you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you,
Hopefully
Mr.
we give you
Paganoff.
the best and available information to make the most informed decisions on the matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the board on the airport realignment? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the hearing. Is there a motion to approve this land development plan?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to the Mill Creek Apartments Land Development Plan. Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. This is a land development plan to show the construction of a 3-story, 128-unit apartment building and 6 2-story, 8-unit apartment buildings and 34 garage units with associated parking and stormwater management facilities along the south line of Edinburgh Road across from Rinderley Drive in Tract 347. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, December 6, 2022, the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this land development plan with the suggestion that the developer look into considering conservation techniques for the remainder of the property.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here representing the Mill Creek Apartments? Please state your name and address for the record, and we'll go ahead and open up the hearing.
Mike Sanford, 4721 Atlantic Avenue, and I'm the surveyor and engineer that prepared the plan. So if you don't mind, I'll just go through a few points. I presented these to Planning Commission, but just for your benefit. This is a new land development plan. As you may recall, there's already an approved land development plan on this property from 2019, but the developer desires to update the plan and have it approved again. So the property is zoned R3, and he would like to incorporate some age-restricted units into the project. And also the unit count has been reduced from 200 on the currently approved plan to 176 on this plan. The land development plan, as Mr. Waldinger explained, does show the apartment buildings, the detached garages, and the surface parking. And as I mentioned, 176 units are proposed. The larger 3-story building on the west side of the site is where the market rate age-restricted units are located, and this was defined by your zoning hearing board as 55 and older. The other buildings on the property are 2-story, and they're traditional market rate apartments. The development's accessed from a private driveway from Route 99 that's opposite Rinderley. All of our environmental permits have been issued by DEP and the Conservation District. In October of 2022, the developer was granted a variance from your zoning hearing board for a 90-space off-street parking reduction. That was due to the age-restricted units that are proposed. So that variance was granted. The parking lots that are proposed are landscaped in accordance with your ordinance. We have the end caps, planting islands, and trees. Your ordinance does require 2 what are called buffer Cs to be proposed, and those are shown on the plan as well. Utilities such as sanitary sewer and water will be extended into the development from Edinburgh Road, and the apartment buildings will be sprinklered. We have our approval from DEP for our sewage facilities planning. We have the approval from your township engineer, GPI, for the stormwater management and rain garden that address rate quality and volume, and it's in accordance with your ordinance. The stormwater will be privately maintained as well. There will be a sign located, for the development, a sign located along the Route 99 frontage in a 20-foot wide strip. The developer is requesting sidewalk deferral for the sidewalks along this 20-foot strip, which is on Edinburgh Road. So he's requesting sidewalk deferral. The plan was reviewed by Erie County Planning, and we are here to answer any questions that you may have regarding the development, but we're looking forward to approval.
Mr. Sanford, you said this was roughly a 200 unit prior to this change?
It was exactly 200 units
Okay.
prior, yes.
Was the footprint larger than what it is now, or?
The area on the property is about 22 acres, but the area being built on, which is in the northwest quadrant of the property, is essentially the same as what was proposed originally. So I can't really estimate that acreage, but it was squeezed, if you will, to the northwest quadrant. So the area of development's about the same. The buildings were reduced from 4 stories to 2 and 3 stories. The one building, the age-restricted building's a little different shape, more of an H-type shape building, but essentially it's in the same part of the property for development.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions from the board for Mr. Sanford?
None here, Dan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sanford.
Thank you.
Anyone here in the audience wishing to speak on the Mill Creek Apartment land development? If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Lon Jenkins, 6011 Meridian Drive, Erie. I'm not sure if you have the notes from the planning committee, but the neighbors on Meridian have objected to the plan, mostly because the loss of green space. The land from Interchange Road to Hershey is a beautiful stretch of woods, and it's right in the midst of the most congested area of Erie. We have this beautiful green space. Unfortunately, the owner of the property has a history of trying to spite his neighbors by clear-cutting forests. I'm not sure how much authority the board has to guarantee that the buffer zone remains wooded, but one of our concerns is maintaining the wooded quality of the property.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the board? State your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Jerry Marucci, 6105 and 6115 Meridian Drive. Our concern is with the safety and security of our neighborhood on Meridian Drive, Avon Drive, Crestview Drive, Spires Drive, and Marmon Drive. The amount of traffic, I have lived up there all my life, and the amount of traffic has increased over the last 30 years due to the development around our area. I have a news article here from November 29th of 2014 that was put in the Erie Times News giving people the directions. There was a map in the newspaper, but unfortunately the library only shows text at this time of shoppers being able to get around Peachtree Jam by going up to Crestview, Meridian, Spires, Avon, and Marmon Drives. Okay, so again, we have articles in the newspaper telling people how to get around all the jams, especially during the holiday season, on Interchange Road, Peach Street, and Hershey Road through our neighborhood, which of course only causes a lot more traffic and the speed of traffic through our neighborhood. And that's our concern, is our safety and security. I think this needs to be addressed. We are taxpayers, and I think Mill Creek Township should understand and value our opinions of our neighborhoods and how we would like to keep it safe and secure. So that is my concern and our concern on Meridian Drive. We are going to petition Mill Creek, and we will be petitioning PennDOT to close the north end of Meridian Drive to eliminate the bypass. I'm sorry about this, but this mic never works. The bypass on Meridian, or for Peach Street, because everybody zooms up Peach and Spires to bypass Peach Street. And that is our concern. And we would like, your respect and consideration in trying to keep our neighborhood safe and secure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments from the, sir, come on up.
My name is Randy DeSanto, 6075 Meridian Drive. One of the other concerns that was brought up was the ability to keep that property restricted to the units that are designated for senior. I understand that was the reason for the variance. The reasoning being that supposedly people over 55 don't drive as much, so they wouldn't need as many parking spaces, so they were given a variance to build more units than they would have parking for, and so you have I guess a smaller foot stamp in that area. And I guess, I don't know if that's a question for the solicitor or not, what is, can, if you approve that contingent on that portion being senior, does that have teeth in the long run? Can the township say you can only have over 55 in this dwelling?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, in the land development ordinance, we do not have that sort of stipulation, those sort of regulations. But as part of their request for a variance, when it was granted by the zoning hearing board for the parking reduction, the zoning hearing board was able to and did make it a condition that those units have to remain age restricted. As Mr. Sanford said, the zoning hearing board defined that as 55 and over. So in order to achieve their variance, they did get that condition placed on them that those units are age restricted, 55 and above.
But Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, the age restrictions or the variance simply applied to the age restricted portion of the construction.
Correct, just those specific
not
units.
Not the entire construction.
Right.
So
Yeah,
with respect to the age,
my question.
yeah, with respect to the age restricted building, that's what they got the variance on. So those 90 spaces are around that building. With respect to the other buildings that are part of this development, those meet
Market
whatever
rate.
requirements there are. There was no variance on parking for those.
But could they come back and get a variance in the future to allow fewer parking spaces and remove them?
I mean, they could arguably age restrict those buildings and seek restrictions on that. I mean, that's nothing we have control over. But that would just reduce the traffic, arguably, if that's the
Okay.
case.
That,
Your concern is that they've added buildings that aren't age restricted. There's really nothing we can do to prevent that.
no, my concern is about the age-restricted buildings.
Yeah.
That they remain age-restricted.
Yeah, if they unrestrict, if they try to change those, they would have to provide the spaces needed to meet a non-age restricted building.
Without, or could they just ask for a variance in a future?
They could,
board
but they
would
wouldn't.
grant that?
They could, but they wouldn't have the basis to justify it at that point, because if it's no longer age restricted, that was their rationale for, hey, that's why we only need 90 spaces.
Okay. But it could all, I guess it was a request, maybe it's redundant, but belt and suspenders, can the supervisors also make that a contingency of approving this plan?
That's really not within the supervisor's purview. I mean, that's really the zoning hearing board, and our zoning offices would enforce that variance. So for instance, if they changed it, and word got to us that they changed it and didn't add the spaces, or didn't come into us and say, hey, we're now changing the use to, you know, make it a regular use, and now we need to find another, I don't know how many there were, say 30 spaces. They'd have to find another 30 spaces before they could change that use legally.
Yeah. And just to repeat, there was also, I guess we were also looking for some assurances on that buffer zone.
Matt, maybe you could address the buffer zone.
Sure. Again, you know, the township does require buffers between different properties, but not obviously in the scope that there exists on this property. I think our largest buffer is 40 feet, you know, that we would require protection from, where this is closer to the range of, you know, 300, almost 400 feet. So there's nothing that we have on our ordinances that the board could enforce protection that large. It would just be our minimum, or, you know, whatever our minimum required buffer would be. We couldn't add stipulations beyond that.
The only thing I would add too is, at least based on the aerial, it appears that there may be a stream or some ravine that runs behind it, that there may be other requirements that they would have to comply if, for instance, there was a comment about clear cutting. You know, there are buffer requirements that DEP imposes for development and so forth that they have to meet when they're near a stream. They'd have potential stormwater issues that they'd have to address if they did that. So there's protections in place to manage it. They don't prevent it, but they manage it. And the township really doesn't have any say over that from that perspective.
Because beyond the aesthetics, there's
Right.
obviously the watershed and the concern of the drainage.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Couple of things I forgot to mention, too. One of our concerns, too, is this property ever encroaching into our neighborhood. In other words, having an access into the neighborhood from this development. We want to be assured that this does not happen over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And also, on this listing tonight, you have minor addendum to a subdivision plan. What is the minor addendum to this subdivision plan? Did you mention that? Yeah, I would like to, because you have it on here.
That's next on
That's
the
our next
agenda, madam.
item.
So let's get to that part of the agenda.
Oh, we're not there yet.
Correct.
Oh, I apologize, okay. So that is, again, one of our concerns, to make sure that, you know, the attempts to connect this new development to any of our roads within our neighborhood is another one of our concerns. Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi. Joe Maxumchek, 6148 Meridian. I live there with my wife, Christina. It's actually her childhood home. She grew up in and was inherited from her late father. Me personally, I have come to love the neighborhood of Meridian Drive. It's pretty quiet, and it feels a lot more secluded in consideration to where it actually is. My wife and I are newlyweds, so we're kind of at a crossroads right now. We would love to stay where we're at and invest in our home and raise a family there. But with the development around the area always increasing, and the traffic flow and all the other security concerns that my other neighbors have brought up, I'm kind of questioning that right now, if we want to stay or maybe relocate. So I started to fall in love with the neighborhood, so that's where I like to see it kept an actual neighborhood. I mean, how much can we continue to clear out and build upon before it's no longer a neighborhood, but it's just a cluster of houses smack in the middle of all these big parking lots and state route highways. One other thing about the age restriction units, I don't think is that big of a deal, because some of my background is I'm a firefighter and EMT in the city, and I go into a lot of residential homes and apartments on a regular basis. And you'd be surprised at the number of people that you can actually squeeze into a one-bedroom apartment. So what is 100 and 200 or so units can really impact the surrounding population greatly. And in the area, it's probably already one of the most congested in the entire city. So I'm just here to ask for you to consider that the integrity of our neighborhood, where us tax-paying citizens live, and like to keep it, at that as much as a neighborhood as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank you.
comments. Thanks for your service.
Hey, Matt, on the number of people in a bedroom, there are building codes limits and occupancy limits that apply to various apartments, houses, and so forth. Is that correct?
Yes, they are correct. I don't know them off the top of my head, but yeah, the building code would dictate the number of people that you could have in.
And those
each
numbers are
unit.
based on safety considerations and so forth with
Correct,
respect to the
yes.
building?
Yeah, egress and all those.
And obviously, if someone's exceeding that and they get reported, action is taken against them. Yes? Yes. Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll close the hearing.
Dan, I had a question for Matt again.
Sure.
She brought up several times the access to this property. I'm looking at my schematic, and I just want, an assurance, or confirmation rather, that the access is only from Edinburgh Road? Is that?
That is correct, yes.
As-
Oh,
as
yeah,
proposed?
Mr. Sanford wanted to answer, but yes, as it's submitted, the only connection is out to Edinburgh Road, Route 99. They show no other additional pavement. I know that the property does have some frontage on Crestview Drive at the far, far south end, but there's no proposed pavement or any accesses out there, and they would require land development approval in order to build those.
Okay. Matt, does the official map even show roads there ever, at any point in time?
No, not on the official map.
Okay. And for people who don't know, the official map is a document that the township recently prepared that identifies, areas that might be future parks or future roads and so forth. So, this is not an area where an extension of any of those roads that tee into Meridian are planned to be extended or thought to be extended.
Thank you, Mark.
But you do realize that 99 Edinburgh Road is only 2 lanes. Interchange what is 4 lanes. Peach Street is 4 lanes. Hershey Road is 2 lanes. So when you're dumping more traffic onto 99, they only have south or north to go, okay? It's already congested up in that area, so you're dumping more traffic again into those areas. Interchange Road is going to get backed up again. The only place for them to go is to head south onto Meridian Drive. This is what I'm saying. I mean, as they come down north on 99 to come around to Peach Street or to go into the mall or anywhere, they're going to bypass our neighborhood again, and that's our issue with this whole development. And what they're going to be throwing out there on 2-lane roads, 4-lane roads, and Hershey Road is getting horrendous. I go to work that way every single day just to bypass Peach Street in the morning. So, and that's getting to be a dangerous situation up there with a 2-lane street on Hershey Road. So again, this is what our concern is the safety and security of the surrounding area. It needs to be addressed. And I don't mean addressed for tomorrow, but I mean addressed for 10, 20, 30 years down the road. Nobody looks at things that far in advance. And that's one of our many concerns with this development.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion from the board? Kim, you're broken up if you're saying something.
Dan will make a motion
Motion to approve? Is that correct?
Correct?
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second, Dan.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear? Mrs. Clear, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to item 7 is a minor amendment to the subdivision plan for the Berkmeyer subdivision. Mr. Waldinger?
Thank you. Yes, the subdivision plan for Timothy M. Berkmeyer and Tammy Lynn Berkmeyer, who are the developers, are proposing a minor amendment to their subdivision plan that was approved on May 28, 2019, but never recorded. The amendment features a change to the frontage along Edinburgh Road, increasing the frontage from the previously approved 10.19 feet to the newly proposed 20.37 feet. There are no other changes to the plan. It is the recommendation of the Zoning and Development Office to approve the amended subdivision plan as the change is minor and does not affect the pending land development plan, Mill Creek Apartments. The amended subdivision plan does meet all requirements of the subdivision and land development ordinance. And so to clarify, if you look on your drawing there, there is that small little strip of land that goes out to Edinburgh Road. The original plan had that listed as being 10.19 feet wide, but in order to comply with our new sign regulations as far as setbacks, they're proposing to widen that strip at the end to 20.37 feet. And that would be the only change to the subdivision, is just the width of that little foot, I guess you would call it, out at Edinburgh Road.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Any questions or comments from the board on that item? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Excuse me, Chairman,
Yes.
maybe just ask if there's any comments from the public, or
Oh, okay.
we missed that.
Any public comment on this change? Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, Dan.
Is there a second?
No comment.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. Item 8 is an appointment of the interim township engineer and interim engineering services agreement. Attorney Shaw?
I think Mr. Waldinger has initially a
yeah,
comment.
if I
so
may,
I'll add to it.
You know, as we all know, sadly, on December 1st of this year, Township Engineer Ann Sokol passed away after a short illness. Ann served the residents of Mill Creek Township for more than 22 years, and the last 4 years she served as Township Engineer. Her kindness, humor, and intelligence will be sorely missed by all that knew her. While the township searches for her replacement, it has come to an agreement with Burgess and Nyepel Incorporated to act as interim township engineer in a temporary capacity. While township staff can handle most of the work on an interim basis, there are certain items that must be reviewed and approved by a designated township engineer. This interim agreement will allow Burgess and Nyepel to provide those services on an as-needed basis. Jeff Marnicio, P.E., Burgess and Nyepel's local office manager, will serve in the capacity of township engineer when necessary. I believe Attorney Shaw can further detail the agreement that is proposed with Burgess and Nyepel.
Yes, thank you, Matt. We have reviewed the agreement with Burgess and Nyepel. Burgess and Nyepel is a large engineering firm with offices recently opened in Erie. It also has 2 offices nearby in Ohio, with a staff in those offices exceeding 52 persons. It has the staff and the experience to step into the role of township engineer until the township is able to hire a new township engineer. The agreement generally follows the format we've used for other professional services agreements. Under the agreement, as indicated by Matt, they will serve as interim township engineer until a new township engineer is hired. They will be performing that service on an hourly basis, and attached to the agreement is Exhibit A, is their rate sheet. The person doing most of the work will be billing out at $186 an hour. In addition, Burgess will be available for project work, but that would only be through a change order under this agreement. The agreement is effective as of today, and in fact, they've already performed some work on the township's behalf, anticipating approval of this agreement. So the recommendation would be to appoint Burgess and Nyepel as the township engineer, and to approve the agreement between the Township of Mill Creek and Burgess and Nyepel Incorporated.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board on this agreement? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item, number 9, is a financial security release request for 880 Arbuckle Road. Christine Farrington, developer. Mr. Waldinger.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this is the development of a single-family dwelling on Arbuckle Road. The developer, Christine Farrington, is asking for release of the financial security that they have posted on file. In front of you is a reasonable consistency letter that was issued by Greenman Peterson Incorporated, our designated third-party reviewing engineer. It indicates that most everything is complete with the exception of 85% vegetative cover on the stormwater management system as required. It is our recommendation that instead of a full release of this security, that a partial release be granted. The total amount to cover the rain garden seeding is $1,500 plus the required 10% retainage for a total of $1,650. This would be a reduction to the existing security of $23,408. You'll note that there is a form signed, reviewed and signed by the township's interim engineer, Jeff Marnicio, stating the reduction that I just mentioned. So at this time, it is our recommendation that the current letter of credit, Northwest Bank, check number 408258, in the amount of $23,408 be released, retaining $1,650 for a total release of $23,408.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve the recommendation as described by Mr. Waldinger?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. Item 10 is stormwater management maintenance agreement and plan for Colley's Pools and Spas.
Thank you.
You're up again,
The
Matt.
developer of Colley's Pools and Spas Land Development Plan, who are Janine M. Colley and S.D. Colley, have had their stormwater management plan approved. The amount of impervious surface is under the 5,000 square feet that requires third-party review, so it was completed in-house by engineer John Sebesta. After reviewing the plan for consistency with the stormwater management ordinance, the plan meets all requirements. Also attached is the executed stormwater maintenance agreement signed by the Colleys. It's the recommendation of Matt Puz, Zoning and Development Officer, to accept the stormwater management plan and approve the stormwater management maintenance agreement as it is consistent with the stormwater management ordinance.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. Moving on to bids and quotations, the first item is a brush cutter for the Public Works Sewer Department. Mr. Donikowski.
Thank you. Good evening. The Sewer Department is seeking approval to purchase a new Caterpillar BR320 brush cutter. This is to replace one that was damaged beyond repair during the 2022 season. One quote was received from Cleveland Brothers Equipment for $8,700 under CoStar's contract 4400019935. Funds for this will be taken from the pump line of the Sewer Department capital budget. It is my recommendation to purchase this brush cutter from Cleveland Brothers for the CoStar's price of $8,700.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a debris loader for the sewer department.
The sewer department is seeking approval to purchase a Billy Goat debris loader, model BGDL 1802VE. Two quotes were received for this item. The first quote is from Garlock's Power Equipment for the price of $5,500, and the second was from Wagner Mower and Plow Service for the price of $5,400. Funds for this will be taken from the pump line of the sanitary sewer capital budget. It is my recommendation to purchase this item from Wagner Mower and Plow Service for the price of $5,400.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion, Dan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We have two pipelining projects. Rob, you want to handle them both at the same time?
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
The first one is for approval to have Insight Pipeline approximately 1,500 linear feet of 8-inch mainline sewer along Spring Valley Drive. The price for this lining is $68,300, with any incidental pricing being listed on the attached quote. The work will be done under CoStar's contract number 16. Funds for this work will be taken from the Public Improvement Projects line of the sanitary sewer capital budget. And the second project is for approximately 630 linear feet of 8-inch mainline sewer along 50th Street and Court Avenue. Price for this project will be $30,771.
Okay. Any questions from the board? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. Next item is an aluminum trailer for building maintenance.
The Building Maintenance Department is seeking approval to purchase a new Sport Haven 7x16 aluminum equipment trailer, primarily to haul the new Bobcat loader to different township properties. One quote was received from J&J Trailer and Equipment Sales for the price of $6,800. Funds for this trailer will be taken from the bridge and sidewalk cleaning line of the building maintenance capital budget, leaving a balance of $20,129.37. It is my recommendation to purchase this trailer from J&J Trailer and Equipment Sales for the price of $6,800.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is appraisal services agreement for planning and development.
Yes, this is before you is a proposed agreement with San Martino, Stout, and LaPresti to provide consulting services regarding the valuation of a property within Mill Creek Township. The rate of the consulting service is $175 per hour, and the estimated cost for the services will be $875. It is the standard agreement that we've used with this firm that the township has executed in the past, and I would recommend approval.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is leadership training phase 2 and 3 from the admin department. And I'll take that. So this is a continuation of the training from JL Nick. This will begin in January of 2023 and will continue not only for 8 weeks, but into possibly the summer. The plan is to provide training to every township employee on leadership, team building, and various other courses of instruction. The cost per employee is $294 a person. This is a budgeted item for 2023, and I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 12 is adoption of the 2023 final budget. Mark?
Okay. Since we published the preliminary budget at the end of November, I continued to work on the budget. I had personally not received any comments or questions on the budget, nor were any comments or questions relayed to me by anybody on the staff. So, but we did affect several changes. The final capital came in at $19,206,265. That's an increase of $75,115 from the preliminary budget. The changes included $200,000 for the Chestnut Hill Pool. That was a line item with no cost. It took a while to get a contractor to give the Parks Director an estimate of what that repair would cost. And then there were $49,100 approximately in carryover items. These are projects that were previously approved this year, but because the township budget is largely a cash basis budget, anything not spent this year goes away at the end of the year. So these are projects that are previously approved but are still, in some cases, actually on order. I know the fire alarm was one of the things, and they're having problems getting parts. And there was some carpet for the barn. So that's why we have carryover items. Building administration had a $50,000 item added for alterations to the police garage doors. It seems that the new ambulance that we got courtesy of the state is too tall for the current doors. So they've got to modify the not only the door but the wall itself, because the door obviously fills the entire space now. So that's an estimate. And they've got about $10,000 for the carryover items. There's fencing for the north yard that the materials never arrived. Now we're into the season where they can't very well put fence posts in and things like that. So that's a carryover item. The police had $5,000 in carryover. Those were for chairs for dispatch. Those were approved, I believe, in October or November. Just taken a long time to get in. And then there was a reduction of almost $239,000 in planning. That was on the line item for the Prescott Gateway project. The initial estimates were preliminary as we got the municipal authority's budget set. They need to coordinate with the planning department's capital budget, and some of the things that were in the initial preliminary budget were actually then pulled into 2022, and so that's why you have a reduction in the planning department. As far as the general fund goes, we're actually seeing a reduction of about $110,000, and that's primarily due to a change in the stop-loss carrier. When we put the preliminary budget together, the stop-loss premium was estimated to be $776,720. By changing carriers, we reduced that to $684,706. That's a savings of $92,014. Everything else were minor changes in terms of general fund expenses. The SOAR fund has a $600,000 increase in treatment costs. The city of Erie finally got around to getting us the estimated cost for next year, and they went up substantially. Like everybody, their supplies and costs and whatnot, operating costs have gone up, and that's why we're paying a higher price to have the sewage treated. And that's pretty much so it. So it's my recommendation that we approve the budget as finally presented, and that'll also be on the website once it's finally approved, and then we get into the resolution for taxes and whatnot.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any comments or questions from the board on Mark's presentation? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Okay, I will second. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote no.
Mrs. Clear, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to Resolution 2022 R54, resolution of the Board of Supervisors fixing the Mill Creek Township tax rate for the year 2023. You handling
Okay,
that, Mark?
the general purpose tax rate is 3.3997 mils, and then we've had a continuing 0.156 mils public improvement portion. Those two were the same for the past, 10 years? Long time. The one thing that is new is the addition of the fire tax at 0.4 mils. That would make the total rate, I don't have that written down.
0.4000.
Yeah, that's I'm talking the total
Oh,
tax
total.
rate. It's gonna make it 39 something or other. Because you add all these together, it was 35577, and you're adding 0.4 to that, so it'd be 39577, total tax rate.
Mark, I came up with 39537.
Okay, I was just doing it in my head.
I'll double check here. Yeah, I came with 3.9537 would be
Yep,
the
that would be
total
correct.
of the three.
It's my recommendation that the tax rates be approved in as much as they support the budget that was just approved.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any
And-
comment? I'm sorry.
Let me just note, that's part of Resolution 2022 R54.
That's correct. Any comments or questions from the board on this resolution? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2022 R54?
Make a motion to approve?
Is there a second? Okay, I will second. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote no.
Mrs. Clear, how do you vote?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. Next item is Resolution 2022 R55, adopting the quarterly sewer rental fees for 2023.
Okay, this also supports the amounts that were in the budget. It's a increase of $2.50 per quarter, taking the sewer rate from $84 to $86.50 a quarter. That's due mostly to the capital projects that have been proposed. We've got 2 force main projects. We are trying to secure grants and some low-cost financing, but nonetheless, we still have the debt service on those 2 big projects, and it's the only way that you can really make ends meet. So it's my recommendation that we increase the sewer rate by the $2.50 a quarter.
Right. Yeah, it should be noted that these 2 projects are multi-million-dollar projects, and we have to, this is just something that we have to do to fund these repairs, much-needed repairs. Okay, any comments or questions from the board on this resolution? Okay, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2022 R55?
So moved?
Is there a second? I will second. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote no.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Resolution 2022 R56 establishes the amounts of fees and deposits required under state law and various township code provisions. You handling that, Mark?
Yes.
Okay.
So Resolution 2022 R56 is intended to make certain amendments to the fees that are being charged by the Mill Creek Township Police Department for various services. which are found in Appendix 7 of kind of our standing resolution with respect to fees. The township had previously established fees charged for police services for persons or entities for security services. This would be when police officers are hired through the department to, act on behalf of third parties. For instance, at times we get called in by the school district to assist with football games or different, events where they have large crowds. So the rate was last set in February of 2022, and the township treasurer has reviewed those fees and recommends that the billing rate be reduced from $90 an hour to $82.50 an hour for 2023. This resolution would amend the fee schedule to reflect that. In addition, the resolution also amends the fee schedule to add a fee to provide a copy of an audio recording or video recording made by the Mill Creek Township Police Department. This is a new fee really triggered by Act 22 of 2017 that permits the department to charge a reasonable fee for providing audio and video recording. The police department now has not only video in their cars, but also they wear the recording and video device on their person. The fee for this is recommended for providing these audio and video recordings would be $100 per camera or device. So the recommendation would be to approve Resolution 2022 R56 to allow these fees to be charged.
Thank you, Mark. Any comments or questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion to approve Resolution 56?
Resolution to approve.
Okay, is there a second? I will second. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote no.
Mrs. Clear, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 16 are Planning Commission, Zoning Hearing Boards appointments. Matt, I don't think we have anything.
No, if I could, real quick, we have had a few people reach out and express interest. I'll be in contact with them. I do feel like we're close to filling up our current vacancies, but, always are interested. If there's anybody that would like to serve, we would definitely, love to hear from them, and we can keep their name on file if we have any future openings.
Great, thank you. Item 17 is the LECOM pilot agreement. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, before is a pilot agreement between LECOM and the Mill Creek Township School District, Mill Creek Township and Erie County. The pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes. The property at issue is the former Edinburgh Perico campus, which is comprised of 4 parcels. The parties have agreed that in lieu of litigating the issue of whether these parcels should be exempt, they would enter into this pilot agreement under which for the years 2022, 2023, and 2024, LECOM would agree to pay and the government entities would agree to accept 35% of the property taxes due for the parcels. The parties also agree to accept the currently assessed value of the property, but do reserve the right to challenge the value if it is changed at any point. The agreement also contains or provides for 2 3-year renewable extensions that would run ultimately to 2023 if those extensions would occur, with each party having the ability to terminate those extensions before they would take into effect. There's a timing in terms of when they would have to give that notice and so forth. The recommendation would be to approve this pilot agreement between LECOM and the government entities.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board on the LECOM pilot agreement?
Is this for both locations?
It's for just the Perico campus, but there's 4 parcels that make up the Perico campus.
Okay. I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to communications, Treasurer Communications, stop-loss health insurance.
Yes, we're changing carriers. Currently, we use Highmark Life Insurance as the stop-loss carrier, but they wanted a phenomenal increase in the fee charge for the stop-loss insurance. We were able to obtain a quote from Berkshire Hathaway Special Insurance Company. It's a AA or it's an A++ rated insurance company. It's maintaining the $105,000 stop loss limit, and it is reducing our premium by $92,014 from the last quoted Highmark life insurance quote. And it would be my recommendation to approve them as the carrier for the stop loss on our health insurance plan.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. Is there a motion to approve Berkshire Hathaway on the stop-loss health insurance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to a promotion in planning and development code enforcement. Matt, would you like to take that?
Sure, I'd love to. Yes, there is currently an opening for a code enforcement officer in the code enforcement office. One of our current officers resigned, and so I am pleased to recommend that the township promote Shalyn Anderson, who is currently the code enforcement clerk, to code enforcement officer effective January 6, 2023. Her salary would be a base salary of $46,918.92. She does receive, or would receive, an additional $2,080 for the fire quality control and $2,080 as our emergency management coordinator, for a total salary of $51,078.92. She's been employed in the code enforcement office since January of 2020. She is also currently, in that stretch of time, also been our emergency management coordinator. She does have her Fire Inspector 1 and 2 certifications and her Emergency Management certifications, and I would gladly present her to you for this promotion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for the promotion of Shalyn Anderson?
I'll make that motion, Dan.
Okay, is there a second?
I enthusiastically second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. Congratulations to Shalyn.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to express my congratulations to Shalyn Anderson. She has been an employee, a model employee for Mill Creek Township, and I don't know what we would do without her, and I am very, very excited that she will be moving up the ranks here at Mill Creek Township. We are lucky to have her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a transfer request in the police department. This is from Deputy Chief Mook. Due to the increased demands of the juvenile age section of the Investigative Services Division, an additional detective is needed. With the transfer recommended, patrol will still have 15 officers per platoon, and it is Deputy Chief Mook's recommendation to transfer Patrolman Luke Passarati from patrol to the Investigative Service Division in order to begin work as a detective. ISD recently conducted interviews for an eligibility list, and Passarati is next up on that list. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda is a hiring request for admin. Mark, do you want to take that one?
I can take it, Dan.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Okay.
Jim.
We have a request for a accounts payable coordinator. Our current accounts payable coordinator is moving on, and looking to hire Michelle Brunetti at a rate of $20.58 an hour, effective January 11th, 2023. Michelle comes to Mill Creek Township with over 16 years of accounting experience. She most recently was employed with Erie Press Systems as an accounting clerk. I'd like a motion to approve that hire.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yeah.
And I vote yes. Next item is a training and travel request for the police department from Deputy Chief Mook. I'd like to request permission for Corporal Caldwell and Lieutenant Hardner to attend training management and risk mitigation for SWAT And it's put on by the National Tactical Officers Association. It's going to be held in Lower Burrell, PA, outside of Pittsburgh, January 30th through February 1st. The total cost is $1,658. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a DEP 904 grant application. Mr. Bach.
Thank you. PA Section 904 recycling performance grants are available to all Pennsylvania local governments with recycling programs following Act 101 regulations. The grant awards are based on the total tons recycled and the applicant's recycling rate. Eligible grant materials include only glass bottles and jars, metal cans, plastic bottles, newspapers and magazines, paper and cardboard. In 2022, Mill Creek Township residents, that would be curbside, multifamily units and mobile home parks and businesses, recycled 6,915.3 tons worth of eligible materials. As a result, is a recommendation of our recycling department that the Public Services Department apply for $92,615.20 from the Pennsylvania DEP Section 904 Performance Grant to put back into programming, education, and events that will benefit our Mill Creek Township residents and businesses. This is a grant that I believe we've qualified annually for. So, yeah, it's a good thing. I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Executive sessions were...
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to congratulate Jessica Stutzman on all the work she's done to make sure that we are eligible for these funds for the 902 grant, and Judy Zelina as well as the Director of Public Services. So thank you to both of them for their hard work on this, and it's money coming back to our residents. So thank you so much to both of them.
Thank you, Mrs. Clear. Executive sessions were held on December 8th and the 16th to discuss various issues. Solicitor communications, Mark?
Nothing further on my end.
Okay, moving on to citizens to be heard. Any comments tonight?
Dennis McAndrew, Milford citizen. The sewer, I understand having to go up because of the city of Erie. But years ago, sewer was increased because of, there was this, when we were dumping sewer into the creek, and they had to do that huge study on all the illegal hookups and all the other problems, and the sewer tower had to be built and shut-off valves put in place. That was supposed to be temporary. I see it's obviously never going away. With the city saying that we're dumping 600 some tons of sewage into the system, and years ago, the water and sewer, you had Mill Creek water, Erie water, Mill Creek sewer, but how come we just seem to take their blind faith that we're dumping that much sewer? I mean,
It's metered.
Yeah, there are metering points.
metered?
Yeah, there's take points, several take points from Mill Creek into the city,
I was wondering.
and that's how it's measured.
And my other point or question is with the sewer fees increase, but, and I understand we have to have to maintain, but like National Fuel and Penelec and that, you have a fee for your meter, and you have a fee for your water service, and then there's the usage. But sewer is just a flat fee.
Correct.
Sometimes bothers, because like my wife and I don't use nearly as much sewage as others. How come Mill Creek Sewer hasn't gone to being metered?
Commercial properties are metered, and that's how their rates are based. Residential has not changed. That is a flat fee.
Right. I'm just saying, I imagine a family of, you know, I was at 20 would be more than a 2. And why, you know, it seemed more fair to a lot of people. If you, I understand you still have to have like a base fee, but then it could correlate with the water usage. The sanitary sewer would at least appear to be, you know, so if you use less water, you use less sewer, you're contributing less to the system, would be a beneficial thing. Just wondered. Something maybe to think about in future.
One of the challenges in doing that is that you don't capture, you know, as you know, these sewer systems are never fully sealed, so that what ultimately gets down to the city may also include additional waters that may get added in somehow because, you know, the pipe might be in groundwater or whatever, and, you know, there's additional water that gets into it. So if you simply relied solely on, you know, say, for instance, you use the water usage of somebody to determine the sewer bill, there would be a gap that wouldn't be funded. So I think that's part of the rationale for why, at least on sewer, it makes sense to have a kind of a flat fee like that.
Right, I'm still saying it could be, but then, you know, like there's a flat fee, like the privilege is to have a national fuel meter is now $20-some and going up, just that whether or not you use 1 ounce of gas. I mean, and then they charge accordingly. I just wondered if, you know, maybe it was never thought about, or just, because before you had, you know, like I said, you had Mill Creek water, you had different waters, you had the city of Erie water, you know, that was the story years ago. And I was just wondering, now that things are more all underneath one house, why isn't it been maybe thought of or, you know, not that, and I know there's unfortunately seepage or whatever, like you said, into the system, but there should be some way of making it appear to be more fair to lower usage than higher volumed people. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. No further public comment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we are adjourned at 6:42. Thank you.